O great spirit of Halloween, why is Robert not calling me?
Trick or treat.
Aren't you all a little late to be out this young?
You can't just open the door for anyone. They could be infected. They could be crazy. They think it's Halloween.
I think it is Halloween.
Oh my god!
Open the door. Right there, down the door!
Stop it! There's no monster!
Welcome everybody to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined as always by Tim Johnson and Josh Lambert. Gentlemen, how is everybody tonight?
Good evening, good evening. Hello.
Another excellent night of watching anthology films.
Okay, so let's just jump right into this, I guess. Because we got a little bit to discuss on this one. Tonight, everybody, we are going to discuss the follow-up to the critically acclaimed All Hallows Eve.
Oh, some critics acclaimed it, I'm sure.
Some critics acclaimed that fucking shit show of a movie. And we are going to talk tonight about the sequel, All Hallows Eve 2, which has nothing to do with the first one, only in name, was even directed entirely by different people and produced by a different group. I just kind of figure, if I'm just going to put this out there before it begins, my thought is the company that opted to put this out on DVD, VHS, or fucking Blu-ray, whatever the fuck they released it on, they got raped so bad over the fact that this movie made nothing that they literally just said, well, fuck you, we're going to keep the rights and make our own version of this. Does that sound reasonable, gentlemen?
Seems possible.
Seems plausible.
It's a plausible theory.
It's a plausible theory, especially because the wraparound is almost fucking identical. What the shit? So, Tim, why don't you give us a little bit of a synopsis?
Okay, so get this. Original story time. A woman finds a VHS tape on her doorstep.
What?
Ooh, no
Yeah.
fucking way. Is it during
That
Halloween?
shows, get this. That shows a series of gruesome tales that could or could not be true. We don't know. But the true danger is the pumpkin face killer that's using the tape to find his next victim.
The pumpkin-faced killer.
Sounds like an excellent film.
Yeah.
Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
Okay, good synopsis.
So we're going to do this again, are we?
Here we are.
Tim,
all right.
we already technically did this again. We're just actually going to spew our fucking thoughts about this bullshit.
It's bad enough we had to watch 2 of these films, and now we're going to talk about them and relive it.
Okay, so in this one, instead of 4 segments, obviously, like I said, the production company must have said, well, fuck this, we're going to try to do better, so they doubled up. And what did they do to double up? We now have 8 segments, everybody. 8 fucking segments. So, we're going to talk about this, and we're probably going to spend a little less time on these segments, because they were very, very, very much so not memorable. For the most part. Okay. We're going to leave the wraparound segment to the end because there's a couple things that we need to talk about that. But let's talk about the very first one. First segment, Jack Attack, as it's called.
Believe it or not, guys, I liked this one.
Oh my... What?
I did. I liked this one. And this isn't the first time that I've seen this. Like I mentioned before we started, I saw this first one on the YouTube channel Crypt TV, and it was, a 5-minute short on there, and it was the same thing. And here it is being used as the opening to the cult classic All Hallows Eve 2 from 2015.
You know what makes me feel really bad about this?
What?
Whoever made that original short film said, yeah, I really did my short film. It did really great. I'd like to get it some more exposure.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree to let you put this in your film.
Yeah.
This is going to be great and rack up the views, isn't it?
Yeah.
They got ripped off.
Yeah. The only thing memorable about this first one for me is that I thought the chick was cute, and the kid's eyes rolling back in his head. It was, and then the gut. But anyways, do you want to talk about the actual little story?
Yeah, might as well. Go ahead, Tim. You liked it.
It's like I said, this cute 20-something-year-old chick babysitting this little guy named Jack. It's Halloween night, and they're waiting for the parent, whatever relation it is to Elizabeth was her name in the movie. So Jack says, "Hey, can we carve a pumpkin?" And so they're carving the pumpkin, and Elizabeth takes the pumpkin seeds and decides to bake them because people like doing that. I don't get it.
They're good.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't eat it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's I don't get it. Anyways, so
moving on.
They cut the pumpkin. The pumpkin is traditional looking pumpkin, and the little guy goes and puts his Halloween costume on, and she decides to give him some pumpkin seeds, and he's eating them, and he gives one to the dog, and then all of a sudden she's fucking on her phone or whatever. She turns around and the kid's choking on the pumpkin seed, and his eyes roll back, and she's trying, I believe she tries CPR at first, and then she decides to take this big ass fucking 12-inch blade knife that she used to carve the pumpkin to poke a hole in his throat.
Give him a trach.
Yeah.
Freaking out of
And yep. And what ends up happening is she starts pulling out what looks like a vine, and she freaks out about that, and then all of a sudden his stomach starts puffing up, and she goes back against the stove because it's all happening on the floor, and then off screen the kid's head explodes, which was what? And then she looks down and her stomach starts fucking, so she takes the knife and fucking cuts open her guts. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. And then all of a sudden all these all her guts are like vines, and they all come out, and there's little pumpkins and shit, and then the dog dies, and yeah, it was I kind of like this one.
Okay, I will give it some credit. It is better than the entire fucking first movie combined. As an entire movie, this one segment was better than anything and everything that comprised...
well, the special effects weren't bad in it. And the story was Halloween. It felt very Halloween-y. I liked it. I liked the first story.
Yeah. And it plays on that urban legend that, if you eat a pumpkin seed, you'll grow a pumpkin in you. If you eat a watermelon seed, a watermelon will grow in you, right?
Exactly. But let's be clear about this. So, this is once again a situation where an anthology film was put together, but these segments were not made specifically for this movie. They were made elsewhere, otherwise, by other groups and other teams with different budgets, and they were brought together simply to be released as one anthology flick. So, this might very well have been a good one. But it also did well on the internet as it was. You said that it was on Crypt TV and everything else, and obviously Crypt TV wouldn't have put out total shit. Crypt TV does some good work.
They got some weird ones on there.
They got some weird ones, but they put out good work in general. Okay. So, okay. My thought on this one, it was good. Like I said, it was better than anything in All Hallows Eve 1. I thought that the effects were pretty decent in it. The acting was better than most things that you'll see put out like this. I liked it. I'll admit that. I liked it. Josh?
Yeah. Based on this segment alone, I'd say we're off to a good start.
Thank you for that wonderful insight, Josh. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So matter of fact, how he delivered it too.
Yeah, no, well, we're off to a good start. This is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's better than the other ones. I don't think the Art the Clown, the original Art the Clown, I still enjoyed more in the first one, that segment. But
all right. Well, let's move on to.
But the segment was solid. I enjoyed it.
Let's move on to the next segment then, because we've only got so much time tonight.
Yep.
The next segment is called The Last Halloween. So The Last Halloween, I'll give a little bit of a description on this one. The Last Halloween is a segment that has to do with 4 trick-or-treaters in a seemingly post-apocalyptic situation going from door to door trick-or-treating and receiving non-typical trick-or-treat Halloween items from the people who will not let them past a certain point to their house. And in most cases, the houses are all boarded up. Interesting because it had a creepy vibe to it, just because, you get the whole something really fucked up or weird is going on in this situation town. And then the twist at the end is basically that these 4 kids are kind of like the 4 horsemen of the fucking apocalypse that are trick-or-treating on Halloween night. And like the whole world is in flames. Like the bombs have dropped, let's put it that way, type of situation. So, there's not really a lot to talk about in this one, though. It actually had like 1 or 2 actors in it that are like done other things. I recognized a couple of them and kind of Googled them afterwards, but do I fucking know who they are now? Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. But it was okay. It wasn't anything fantastically wonderful. Josh?
I got a couple notes that I wrote down when I watched this segment. The first one, when they went trick-or-treating, they got a can of cat food. I didn't quite realize what was going on. I was like, man, these are like the worst fucking houses to go trick-or-treating ever. And then it like kind of pans out and it shows it's like post-apocalyptic and it's like, oh, okay.
Just
all right.
Whatever.
Whatever they got as an offering. Yeah, offerings, yeah. And then obviously the big reveal where they transform. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. I didn't pick up on the fact that they were the 4 horsemen, though. I didn't until you guys just said that.
Yeah.
But I see it. There was 4 of them. They turned into like big, scary demon-looking things. Sure.
Yeah, in the living room scenario or whatever. Yeah, they just turned.
This second one I liked. I liked it too. I thought it kind of reminded me of like something you would have seen in like Tales from the Crypt.
Like a Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt type of.
Yeah, that's why I liked it, because there was enough of a kind of like twist, but it wasn't like trying to reinvent the wheel. It was the apocalypse. You know what I mean? I liked it, and I liked that the 4 horsemen took traditional little Halloween costumes. The little witch and the little ghost, and I liked it.
And took the image of little kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
My biggest issue with it is the same issue I have with all these segments, is they're too short. As soon as you realize what's going on, the segment's over.
Yeah.
It's atypical anthology type of film, though, really, for a lot of this. Okay. Well, it wasn't too bad. The creatures were probably the best part of it, if I had to admit. Like, definitely. The whole reveal and the creatures in the living room and shit. It was pretty good. So, all right, let's move on to the next. The Offering. Josh, why don't you start off on this one a bit?
Cool. So it's like a younger fella and his father, and they're making some sort of offering to like a Wendigo or like a woods demon creature thing.
I didn't even think Wendigo. That's
some sort of like woods creature, and they had to make like an annual offering or whatever. And basically, the father tricks the son into being the offering, and he's fucking completely savage and just locks him out. And it's like, well, there's the offering.
Yeah. I knew something weird was going to happen when the kid was like, where's the meat?
Yeah.
Oh,
I forgot. Oh, shit. I forgot it.
I forgot the meat.
Fuck. You're the offering, bud.
Oh, he should still accept it.
Yeah.
Click.
No, you're dead.
Yeah, no, you're dead. Yeah, when you say Wendigo, that makes it a lot better, in my opinion, because overall it was a little bit lackluster, this one, compared especially to the first two that you just watched. There isn't really a lot going on. I wish we would have seen something, maybe. I know that they were trying one of those whole, less is more situations. Scary if you don't see it. But I would have liked to have at least seen like some sort of like a hunkering shadow in the background or some shit, showing big antlers or some shit. Some sort of a little reveal type of thing. A little bit sad, obviously, because the son was kind of like he was helping his father, because you can tell it's the father that's haunted by this.
Yeah.
And the son was just trying to help the father, and all of a sudden the son gets fucked royally. So. Tim?
Yeah, again, I didn't hate this one. I didn't think it was as good as the first two, but it was still okay. I'm still on board. You still got me All Hallows Eve too. Like I'm not out and out like bored or whatever. The father, pulled a dick move. It was a dick move. Because it would have made more sense for him to go out because he's old.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
The boy to be like, it's your haunting. Maybe it will end if you die, and push him out the door or some shit.
Yeah, something. But that didn't happen, and he started his car up, backed up, and went back down the road.
It's all about self-preservation.
But I mean, it was pretty simple story. There was no real special effects. The acting was okay. The acting wasn't bad. So you still got me.
All right, we're still on board. We're in it. We're in it for a few now. So next segment, Boy's Life. So this was a little bit of a weird one. I have a bit of a love-hate with this one, because at first it's a classic monster under the bed tale. So this is the one where there's a little boy, and he's alone with his mother. They're in the house, and he's pining for his father. At this point, I can't remember if his father's like dead or he's just deployed, but it's military-esque, because he's got like his father's helmet and shit.
Well,
I think he was dead because he had the dog tag.
The dog tags.
Oh, so he's got okay, yes, that's right, the dog tag. So he's dead. So little boy,
good
mother.
job, Adam.
There you go. Tim, really?
Rude.
It's fucking
Rude.
All Hallows Eve too. Whatever.
Right. I don't even remember this segment. So.
So he's like pining for his father, and he keeps talking to his mother about the fact that there's something in his room, and they do the whole scurrying things around his room and shit like that. It seemed like it had something better to it that could have been better. Might I put it that way? Because a classic monster under the bed situation would have been great, in my opinion. I love those kinds of stories. But it was very lackluster. And then in the end, you think that it's really, truly all in the kid's head, because the mother plays along with it. After being pissed off with him for nights, she gets into this fucking fake military thing where she's crawling around on the ground with him, and they're shooting at shit with fake guns underneath the bed, and to kind of, all right, it's dead now. You know what I mean? And then she gets hauled off underneath the bed and fucking murdered. But we don't see anything. We just see her hauled off underneath the bed.
It reminded me a lot of the segment in Cat's Eye with the little gremlin fucking thing under the bed.
Ooh. Okay.
But we never actually get to see it, so.
Okay. I can see some of that. Chip, do you have anything?
This is when it starts.
Oh, the phone started going up at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the acting in this one wasn't bad. I liked hey, you're guessing whether the kid's got fucking issues or it's really happening. I mean, obviously it's a horror movie. It's really happening. Right? So, I was glad when the mother got pulled under the bed. I was glad. I felt no remorse.
Nope.
So no remorse for the dead mother. Just wondering what's going to happen to the kid now.
This was the first one where it just felt
lackluster.
Yeah.
They already kind of blew the load at the beginning, did they? Yeah.
I guess. I don't know why you had to get so graphic.
Really? When Tim talks about the reach around segments?
Well, they didn't blow the load with the reach around, so don't worry.
All right, moving on to the next one. The Descent. So The Descent was the segment that had to do with a woman who witnessed her friend being murdered. And then a couple of weeks later, somebody pops into the elevator with her in this apartment complex or whatever, and it turns out to be the serial killer that murdered... Oh, I can't say serial killer. Don't know how many he's knocked off. But the murderer. And they get stuck in the elevator together.
They did a really good job of making it tense. I felt tense in this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are a few real, true, good horror movies surrounded with being, stuck in an elevator. Devil comes to mind. It was a really good one. That was the produced by him. It wasn't directed by him, thankfully. But that was a really good one. But this was kind of like the same idea, but it wasn't really supernatural. It was she's there physically with somebody who is the serial killer, apparently, or the psychopath that killed the person. So, sure. Have anything else to say about that one, Josh?
No, garbage.
Tim.
Yeah, this was straight up garbage.
This was straight up garbage. Okay.
The acting wasn't bad, even though the killer was. I don't know.
Garbage.
It was garbage. It was like, oh, she didn't really kill him. She killed some innocent guy that kind of looked like him, and like, yeah.
It was one of those. I saw that.
She was like 120 pounds, and the guy was like 230.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
And he got ganked by her.
Yeah, and it was one of those endings where it's like literally the moment that he got into the elevator and the tenseness started to happen. I kind of like seen the ending coming like a mile away. I was like, yeah, she's gonna murder him. It's not even gonna be him. She's just like fucking crazy now at this point. She's seeing him everywhere.
He's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey there, it's Deborah Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Part 5, and you are listening to They Cast from the Coast.
Moving on to the next segment. M is for masochist. So this is where we really got to understand, just like what you were talking about earlier, Tim, about the first one being part of the Crypt TV offerings. M is for masochist came from the online film competition for the ABCs of Death Part 2, where a bunch of filmmakers from all over the world had submitted their films, short films, to try to be included as the 26th film in the movie, and it was based around the letter M. I know, because I submitted. So I had one in, and I remember this segment. And this segment really didn't make it very far in that competition either. And this is one of the most fucked up ones.
Did yours not make it far?
I was in like second place for like fucking days. Oh. Me and a couple of other guys. Like, we did pretty good. I mean, I'll admit it wasn't my best work by any means, and I'm surprised it got that far ahead. I'm just going to be honest with everybody.
I'm only teasing you. It's not that bad. Like, it's not. You're being too hard on yourself. It's not that bad.
Seen it.
I appreciate it. So this one has to do with a group of friends that are at like a carnival, and there's like one of those like throw knives at a board and receive a prize if you whatever hit balloons or some shit. Turns out it's a spinning board and it's got a person on the board. And when the ringmaster type of fucking character pulls off the hood, turns out to be like one of the character's fathers, who's an abusive asshole who beats his kid. So they convince him to like throw shit at his father, and he ends up like throwing a fucking chainsaw at his father or some shit.
Yeah, it's like some straight up Saw shit.
Yeah, some pretty straight up Saw shit. And then it gets even more weird and fuckered because it's like that part of the segment ends, and then it's like a new group of people with a new person on the board, and it's like a woman on the board, and it's like, you wait till you see what I have for you. It's just
they just take shitty people and stick them on a board and let people get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
I like the ringmaster in it. He was creepy. He kind of reminded me of... there's a rail shooter on the PSVR, and it takes place through like a haunted carnival.
The one from Until Dawn?
Yeah. And there's like a ringmaster, and he's kind of remind me of him.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the ringmaster wasn't bad and all, but overall,
it
wasn't great. It was literally just a way to show blood and guts.
Yeah.
M for masochist. More like D for fucking dumb. L for lame.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, the Carnival Barker was Bill Oberst Jr.
Okay.
So it's actually played by somebody, fairly well known. And it says here,
not by
wasted use of the great Bill Oberst Jr. And trivia, his name was inexplicably spelled wrong in the credits. The man deserves more than that, people wrote. So, okay, moving on. One of the last ones, Mr. Tricker's Treat. So this is the one that when the movie first came out, people were telling me, this is the best segment in the whole movie, Mr. Tricker's Treat. Apparently, this segment, as it was a short film on its own, had like some sort of like a small cult following. So the segment relating to Halloween, because most of these segments actually had nothing to fucking do with Halloween, if anybody's picking up on this. This is only like the third segment in the movie that actually fucking has anything to do with Halloween. Relating to Mr. Tricker, the best Halloween decorations in the neighborhood every year. And a nosy neighbor gets too close and discovers that his decorations are all too real, as they're actually people that he's murdered and hung up in his trees and shit.
Lame.
Very.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
No.
It was not that good. There's not much
I don't know
to
if
say
that's
about
just
this one.
because the last ones before it suck so bad. Like maybe if it was at first it wouldn't be as bad, but I don't. I didn't like it.
I think it would have.
No, it still would have sucked. This one still would have sucked. Oh well.
Like I feel like there could have been small changes that could have made it better. Like instead of having a ditzy blonde show up, have it like a fucking 50-year-old like fucking like Walker, lady. You know what I mean? Part of the PTA. She's got a fucking headband on. Gladys. Yeah.
Gladys.
Perfect, Josh. Yeah. Like that would have helped it a little bit because like she could have been really annoying and all this.
And on top of that, she could be pissed off at him because he wins every year, and she thinks that she's got the best decorations.
Yeah.
And now she's after what the fuck his secret is.
Yeah. See, we just made that instantly better.
Right?
Yeah, we're gonna. What was that? Mr. Tricker's Treat. We're gonna call this Mr. Treater's Trick. It's gonna be fucking better. Okay, all in all, that one sucked. Didn't like it. Our version's better. Final segment of the movie before we talk about the wraparound / reach around. Alexia is the name of the last one. So this one was weird, but I will give it some props. So this one had to do with, it's an Argentinian one that came from, obviously, Argentina.
Is that what that means?
That's exactly what that means. There's a gentleman by the name of Franco whose ex-girlfriend passed away some time ago, but for some reason she's still popping up on social networks and social media and like messaging people somehow. And they think it's like somebody fucking around in her account. But certain weird fucking things start to happen. So I have to admit, this one out of all the segments had some of the best effects. Because this one, when it actually shows her as like this like weird ghoul-like ghost creature, she's like got like her eyes are like all fucking scarred out and shit, and they like roll into her head really weirdly, and she's got like the long jaw when she like yells and shit. It was actually really decent when she appears, but it's for like 2 seconds. I gotta give them props for that because it's like one of the best looking scenes in any of the films that they released for this anthology. But that's about it. I literally was getting bored off my fucking ass trying to figure out what the fuck was going on because it was hard to follow.
These movies bore me. It's like an uprising right now that there's like all these fucking movies that are based around like social media and the computer and this exact plot. I've seen no less than 10 movies on fucking Netflix that do this exact thing.
Unfriended.
Unfriend. And, oh man, there's so many.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them like that.
They just don't interest me.
Tim, do you have anything to say about these?
I feel that I think if they would have opted in the list, it would have been a little bit better, a little bit easier to receive it. I didn't hate it, but like Josh said, it's not original. I've seen it before.
Okay.
But with that being said, I thought it did a pretty good job with the tone, the kind of mood of it. It was kind of creepy. I liked when, the boyfriend goes in to check in on the new girlfriend, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the end of the main segments. Let's talk about the wraparound, reach around for whatever.
Well, first, there's the part that connects them all, which is nothing. It's a little pumpkin looking dude that shows up at the end of every segment and doesn't interact with the segment whatsoever.
It's true.
And that's how they're all connected, in case you didn't notice.
Yeah,
because
they're all connected.
You literally blink and you miss the fact that there's a weird fucking pumpkin kid that hits in between the scenes.
Yeah, I had to keep rewinding a little bit because I'd be watching it and then just look away for a second. I'd look back and she's like stunned, like she just saw something. I'm like, what the fuck did she just see? So rewind for a second. Oh, like he's in the background there somewhere, or he's looking at her through the window or some shit.
Yeah.
If your theory is right and they decided to just remake this film and make it better, they took the one thing that made the other film watchable and removed it and replaced it with a pumpkin kid.
Because they didn't own the rights.
They didn't have the rights to
art. But when you look at it, so the whole idea of the segment is like the wraparound, like Tim had mentioned. She finds a VHS tape on her doorstep at Halloween, so she watches the segments. So at this point, though, instead of each segment having Art the Clown kind of represented that ties them all together, in this one, it's whenever she finishes a segment, there's some sort of like a little interlude where this fucking pumpkin masked asshole is just kind of floating around. Yeah. So they didn't do anything in the segments, they did it between the segments. But the reason why I said it's almost like they decided to redo the fucking first movie with their own flair is because at the end of the movie, the VHS turns the same way as what it did in the first one, where she's watching the pumpkin fucking killer on the VHS, and he comes up to the TV and he starts like banging on the TV and shit. And it breaks the fourth wall, just like what Art did. And then he fucking gets released, and ding ding, he's gonna kill her. He like appears behind her on the couch or some shit like that.
Sofa, yeah.
But there's no kids for to be head in this one. It's just her he's gonna murder. But it's the same idea. It's the VHS. The VHS is kind of like cursed, and the killer comes out of the VHS to kill her.
Yep. And Tim picked up on it earlier that they actually mentioned why she has a VCR.
Which I thought was, okay, I'd hang out with this chick. Because she said, when she's talking on the phone, whoever she's talking to, her friend or whatever, how are you going to watch it? Do you even have a VHS? She's like, fuck yeah. She said, that's the only way to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was like, nice. Okay.
I will give some respect for that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is meant to be seen in a very gritty, dirty film. Yeah. Best movie-going experience of my life still.
So, I mentioned this off camera earlier, but I think what they were trying to do with the masked killer in this was trying to do their own version of the cover of Halloween. Because I feel like that image right there is what that guy was trying to do. A pumpkin on the face and then the knife, you know what I mean? He had coveralls on like, Michael Myers. Like, I just... Yeah.
I see it.
Do you see it? There, hold it up again. Let's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's instantly what I thought of when I saw it.
As soon as I saw it, I thought of the stupid little fucking reveal in Trick or Treat with the weird pumpkin-looking dude.
Oh, fuck!
It ruined yet another anthology. It ruined yet another anthology film for me.
Sam is fantastic.
Sam is fucking great. Okay, so let's just kind of review this and get this shit over with. Tim, final thoughts and rating.
Okay, well, I have to say that this movie had a lot more going for it than the original one. Each individual story, you could tell the ones that had somewhat of a production value. They weren't horrible to look at. They weren't trying to do anything gimmicky with, making it look like it was vintage or grindhousey. It was just a bunch of short stories, a bunch of short films that other people have submitted and have worked really hard on or whatever. And, the producer, director decided to put them all together and then fucking put it out as All Hallows Eve 2. I didn't hate it like I hated the first one. It's not that much better. But like I said, at least out of the 8, there was 3 that I thought were pretty good. Like, they were okay. I didn't hate it. So with that, I'm going to give it a G. I'm going to give it a garbage rating. It was garbage. It's not shit, but it's not pretty good either.
Okay. Accepted.
Okay,
Josh.
Thank you. I'm glad my thoughts were acknowledged. Thank you.
Like Tim said, the segments, there's no doubting that the segments are better. Yeah. Every segment is better than the other segments with the exception of maybe the arc one, because that kind of introduces the character and it was a good segment.
Sure.
And there's no dancing aliens, so let's get that going for it. The overall arcing story, I disliked way less. Like, it was so much worse. Disliked it way more. There's no kids. It's just this one girl in her apartment watching the film. Didn't really care for the overarch, and I definitely didn't care for the fucking character in between, the weird little pumpkin dude. He did nothing for me. Yeah, I think I disliked the second one more, just as an overall, than the first one. But the segments were better. It's got me torn, because as a movie overall, I want to say it's rated S for shit. And as the segments, if we did each one individually, I see it, they're probably pretty good, or some of them are garbage. So I just got to end it and say, this movie is shit. Don't fucking watch it. You gain nothing. You gain nothing from watching this movie. The other one, you at least get the introduction to art. So if you're going to watch Terrifier, which is an actually good movie, then at least you get that. This movie, you get nothing. It's garbage.
So once again, you got to say it properly, Josh.
Rated S for shit.
Yeah. There you go. Josh did it. Proud of you, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, I love your awkward clap after I was done.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, final thoughts on this one. I'm going to rate this movie based on the fact that the segments themselves and the effort that seems to have gone into putting this anthology together is better than the first. Yes, it doesn't have art. We don't know why. Some sort of a rights problem and everything else. In my opinion, this should not have been All Hallows Eve 2. This should have been a different anthology and should not have had anything to do with the first one, even by name. Probably would have given me a better taste in my mouth about it. Maybe even Josh would have had a better feeling about it at that point. But overall, it was a step above the original. The original did give us art, but it's still rated S for shit because overall the fucking thing was terrible. And that's how I rated that one. So this one I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to say overall, I'm going to say that this one is G for garbage. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Overall,
I think we can all agree that both the movies are just bad. They're terrible.
Yes. There's still a level here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like these movies are, oh, fuck, I got to recommend this to somebody. No, it's still, like, shit is like, you're scraping it off of your boot because it's just...
if you're going to eat a shit sandwich or a garbage sandwich, you're better off eating a garbage sandwich, but you're not going to enjoy either of them.
That's exactly. It's just how bad is it? So, yeah. Okay, so G for garbage. So, with that, everybody, we're going to wrap up for the day. So, until next time, Tim...
Stay spooky, everyone.
Stay spooky, everyone. Josh?
To all the filmmakers out there, please stop putting stupid little pumpkin people in your movies. They'll do much better if you stop putting little pumpkin people in your movies.
No, for not. All right, everybody. Until next time, have a good night. See you later.
Good night.